To understand the desperation of the Ruto regime, which is gone, yeah, it's only a matter of time. To understand that desperation very clearly, sample the following super fascinating tale. There is a British YouTuber based in the US. His name is Dylan Page. Dylan Page arrived in Kenya on the day of the 17th of June protests. And he walked right into that drama and captured it all very beautifully, yeah, in a recent video. Now let's not lose focus here. This is not a Kenyan. Let's not lose focus. And his videos are viewed by influential people and people who are not so influential all over the world. I've put a link to his video in the description area below this video on YouTube. Yeah, you can take a look at it when we're done here. Now, I was of course very interested to hear for myself the view of a foreigner, especially from the Western world, about what is happening right here in Kenya. Now, this is the way he puts it. Imagine a country where you get arrested for insulting a police officer. Hey, and you could see the disgust, the disbelief, the horror on his face as he talked about this. Think about it. What got Albert Ojwang into so much trouble? He did not even insult a police officer. No! All he did is that he posted an allegation on a public figure, a senior police officer. That was all. You know, it is very simple. If you don't want people to post things about you on social media, resign. Remove yourself from your public position. Pure and simple. Clearly the biggest problem with this regime is that they want to hold a public office, but then they want the people they are serving to shut up. In other words, they don't want to be leaders. They want to be headmasters of a high school. Kenya is not a high school, and you're not the headmaster. And indeed, students have been known to harshly criticize the headmaster. Who are you? Seriously? Who do you think you are? Anyway, Dylan Page captures it perfectly. And remember, this is just one YouTube channel. Indeed, there's another YouTube video I came across where they featured the worst presidents in the world. And guess what? Kenyans, you made it. Jipigeni makofi. You made it. You're amongst the top 3 on the entire globe. Yeah, when it comes to the worst presidents ever. Come on, Kenyans, you should be proud of yourselves. How many countries in the world, especially African countries, have made it to any top 3 list? They're not many. Be proud. Jipigeni makofi mazee. Clap for yourselves. Hey. What? Bottom line, the image has spread far and wide. The entire world knows what is going down in Kenya. The entire world has a clue what the problem is, especially the crux of the problem. So now do you believe me when I tell you the Ruto regime is gone? Imeenda. It's just a matter of time. Now, in a dramatic turn of events, as we head into the 25th of June, 2025, the Standard newspaper, the Standard Group, KTN, and the Standard newspaper carried an expose like no other. Wow. This investigative piece brought out very clearly the network and those who lead it that is usually used to disrupt peaceful protests, including hired goons, instructions given to those goons from right at the top, everything. And super fascinating, this whole criminal network is led by wait for this one, a State House operative. And in my opinion, and based on the information I have, this is the same State House operative who is overall in charge of abductions. Indeed, abductions have been mentioned in this expose. Bila kizungu mingi, everything has been laid bare. We now totally understand everything that happens. And we even know the leaders of this evil, very evil enterprise. And what I know will surprise most Kenyans is that the prominent leaders in the field, let alone the State House operative, are women. Yani ni dada zetu wanaongoza. Now, actually, if we step back, this is easy to understand. Because you see, these ladies control a lot of money. And the truth is, let me wear my crash helmet because I know I'll get it from the men. The truth is, women tend to be more trustworthy with money. That is the truth. Painful, but it is the truth. Us men and money. And of course, there is another reason for this regime to trust women, to lead this operation. You see, people don't suspect women. It is difficult to suspect women. Women can get away with a lot of things, and you'll never suspect. In this expose, two names were mentioned. A lady known as Antonella Kakuko, better known as Nella, who we are told is the chief organizer. In fact, we are told her main job description is igniting political fires. And indeed, the story is, she has done an excellent job of that. The other lady in the thick of things is named as Elizabeth Waithira, widely known as Liz wa Sakaja. Sakaja is of course the governor of Nairobi County. Hawa wadada ndio watu wakubwa in this whole setup. We were even given details of the plans for the 25th of June. Apparently, at the top of the agenda will be to steal phones. And here it is easy to understand why. When historians sit down one day to write about this period in Kenyan history, I'm sure they will not forget to say one of the weapons that brought down the Ruto regime was the smartphone. I don't think I need to remind you that the video footage that showed exactly what happened to the hawker ambaye alipigwa risasi, Boniface-Mwangi, that particular video was shot by a smartphone. And of course it has gone around the world. Even Dylan Page's video borrows from that footage. It has clips, screen grabs from that footage. Summer season of exposure. No doubt about that. Now, this throws a very interesting spanner into the works of June 25th. How so? You know, one of the things that an expose does, when you expose people, what is their initial reaction? They stop. They usually stop what they were going to do. And even if they go ahead with it, they go ahead with it with great caution to hide themselves and what they are doing. In my opinion, this is the best news ever for a long time in the country called Kenya. Wameshikwa. They have been exposed. Wameanikwa mchana peupe. And therefore, definitely, going forward, things can never be the same again. It has now been confirmed to the whole world that the protesters in Kenya are peaceful. It has now been confirmed to the whole world that when violence and chaos breaks out in these protests, it usually comes not from the protesters, but from the government. Now that is a very, very telling revelation. Please remember, there is a very huge difference between allegations and rumors and something being exposed so clearly for the whole world to see. And this spanner that has been thrown into the works is definitely going to make the June 25th protests very, very fascinating. Because the whole world is watching, and the whole world is watching, not with ignorance. The whole world is watching with information, even background information. They know exactly what the scenario is in Kenya, and who is causing the chaos, and where the injustices are coming from. That cannot be good news for the government of Kenya. Never ever. Even Dylan Page is watching. And he has many, many followers right across the globe. They are following his channel. And if you're still not yet convinced that kimeumana kuumana, then sample the following. Envoys in Nairobi from different parts of the globe have come together and issued a joint statement. Now that one is very significant. I remember, and indeed many older Kenyans will remember, that shortly before the regime of Daniel Toroitich arap Moi went home, we saw a lot of this, envoys coming together and issuing one united statement where they're all saying the same thing. It is like the entire world is all speaking the same language. They're all united in speaking one thing, one idea about Kenya and what is going on in Kenya. But despite all this we have talked about, the Ruto regime still does not have a clue. They still don't understand. They still don't grasp where they are and what is happening. The Tiati legislator, William Kamket, has been breathing fire against protesters. He has been talking, and what he's saying is definitely breaking the law. But of course he's above the law because he's on the government side. And of course, there is something very important Bwana Kamket is still not aware of. Anajifunga mwenyewe. Is exposing himself very openly. Is messing up himself. And yet he thinks he's helping the Ruto regime. That is the truth. Because Bwana Kamket has told us very clearly that he's going to send goons from the Pokot to Nairobi, and to use his own words, to protect the government. Now, we know even from the past that this has been a very popular idea with rogue regimes, evil regimes. This idea of protecting the government. And how exactly do you protect the government according to these people? You protect the government by suppressing any opinion that is against that government. That government which has been put in power by the people. So you're suppressing those people who put this government in power and ensuring they're not criticizing this government. Ensuring that this government is perfect, safi kama pamba. Actually what Bwana Kamket is saying is that Kenyans just need to shut up and allow them to do what they're doing. And we all know what they're doing. Massive corruption. Public funds are being stolen like there's no tomorrow. And meanwhile, institutions in the country, like the police, are being weaponized also to, in quotes, protect this government. Now, this is a perfect example of how somebody, a government, shoots itself in the foot. Mchana peupe. Yani they do something which does not help them. Something which is actually destroying them. And they're doing it very enthusiastically, with a lot of energy. And this thing is destroying them quickly. That is exactly what the situation is. But now, I want us to ask and answer a very important question. so that we understand very clearly exactly what is going on here. And the question is very simple. Why does the Ruto regime fear protests so much? Indeed, I don't think there's any other government in the history of our country that has had such great fear for peaceful protests. What is the big deal? Why? I believe the answer will surprise most of us. Okay? And I will give you that answer immediately after I give you this piece of information from one of our sponsors. Prime Diani quarter-acre plots for sale. And these ones are really prime because they are very close to Diani Airport, along the new airport road. Hotcake is a good word to use to describe them, especially because things on the southern coast have changed very dramatically since the commissioning of the Dongo Kundu bypass. Yeah, another name for it, of course, is the Mombasa Southern Bypass, which links Mombasa Island to South Coast. You know, all these decades, all these years, the only way to get to the South Coast from Mombasa has been by using the ferry. And of course, you know, the ferry has many bottlenecks, delays, sometimes ferries break down, etc., etc. But now, it's Nywe and you're on South Coast. Naturally, this has changed a lot on the South Coast. It has become a very hot investment destination. And therefore, I highly recommend that you take a closer look at this prime land in Diani, close to the airport. You can see a number on your screens right now. Use that number and call immediately if you're interested. Why does the Ruto regime fear peaceful protests so much? You know, the game of politics is a game of numbers. And if you came into power with a very slim majority, very slim, very few people actually voted for you, then don't you think you will always feel very vulnerable? You'll always be very insecure. You'll always be very worried. I mean, that comes naturally. We know that Ruto won this election, the 2022 presidential elections, under very strange, mysterious circumstances. Indeed, the information I had is that the genuine votes Ruto got were less than 3 million. Of course, the other fake votes came courtesy of Bwana Kamango, the Venezuelan. Yeah, it was pop, duly elected. All this was computer-generated stuff. This is a computer-generated president. Okay? Even if it was you, you have come to power and you know very well you did not win any presidential election. Even if it is just some very young lads who have launched a peaceful protest, of course you'd be very nervous. You would imagine that what happened in Bangladesh and other countries will happen to you. And especially when you already know that you have become very unpopular in the country. When you know that it is very difficult for you to go anywhere in the country and address people peacefully. Yeah? You need to make prior arrangements, send money for mobilization, bribe people to come and listen to you. Obviously, you're going to be very nervous about any demonstration. And obviously, you're going to take steps and measures to ensure that you frustrate those protests, that they do not go far, that you do not give them a chance to grow organically into something so large that it will remove you from power. I mean, that is rather obvious when you look at it like that. And that is why it is hardly surprising. The information that we have gotten from this standard expose, it should not surprise anybody. Yeah? Because it is clear this government will do anything to remain in power. However, it is sad, it is very unfortunate, because history tells us, even when governments are very determined to remain in power and things are not working out, that does not stop the push to get that same government out of power. In fact, that desperation, when you study history carefully, usually speeds up the process of the exit of that regime. That is the truth. And therefore, in my opinion, the Ruto regime is already gone, has already gone home. In fact, what Kenyans should be focusing on right now is not Ruto must go. No, they should be focusing on a very critical question. What next? What is going to happen after Ruto goes? Because going is going. But what is going to happen after Ruto? That is the question Kenyans should be focusing on. But of course I understand many Kenyans do not believe that it is possible for Ruto to go, especially because he controls state machinery, he controls the judiciary, he has put parliament in his pocket, he has everything in control, supposedly. Most Kenyans don't see how Ruto can go. However, experienced analysts and students of history know that the truth is Ruto is in a very, very vulnerable situation. I mean, you're in a country where everywhere you turn, people want you gone. You turn to the left, to the right, you even try and climb a tree, people want you gone. That is not a good situation to be in. And it does not matter what state machinery is protecting you. But when a people are so united against you, do you think it is possible for you to win? Do you think it is possible for you to survive? You tell me! Now, very quickly before I go, I believe we just have about 18 hours to go before my current offer comes to an end. And it is an amazing offer. For only Kenya shillings 1,999, you can get my latest special report, which is actually the most sensitive special report I have ever produced, because it exposes something so shocking. Hey! Something so shocking that it will definitely shock you to your bones. The reaction I've received from some of you who have already taken it in says exactly that. You can see details on your screens right now. Please rush. It is just a matter of hours before we shut this down. Please rush and make sure you get this highly sensitive video. And not only this one, you'll also be able to get all the other previous special reports I have produced. And of course, by doing so, you'll also be supporting this channel. And I will be so, so grateful, because I'm always grateful for any support I can receive, especially during this very tricky time to cover politics in the motherland. Until next time, this is Chris Kumekucha.